Welcome back to ABCGH Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the dramatic confrontations, strategic discussions, and maternal protectiveness unfolding in Port Charles. The upcoming episode promises intense emotional showdowns and unexpected alliances that will keep viewers on the edge of their seats. Maternal instincts unleashed. Carly Spencer's protective nature erupts in a fierce confrontation at Drew Kane's residence, where Willow Corinthos finds herself cornered by her former mother-in-law's wrath. If he can't be here to fight for them, then I'm going to do it for them. Carly declares passionately, her voice resonating with determination and barely controlled fury. This heated exchange clearly references Michael Corinthos' absence and Carly's unwavering commitment to protect her grandchildren, Wiley and Amelia Corinthos. The tension between these two women has been building for weeks, ever since Willow's shocking decision to move into Drew's home, following her separation from Michael. Carly views this not merely as a betrayal of her son, but as a potential threat to her grandchildren's stability and family connections. Her maternal instincts have transformed into a fierce determination that might even lead her to pursue sole custody of the children. What makes this confrontation particularly poignant is the history between these characters. Carly once welcomed Willow into the family with open arms, celebrating her as the perfect partner for Michael and an ideal mother for their grandchildren. Now, that same maternal passion has turned adversarial, highlighting how quickly alliances can shift in Port Charles when family loyalties are tested. Unexpected bonds forming. Meanwhile, in a more tender development, Sasha Corbin and Jason Morgan continue their meaningful conversation from the previous episode. Sasha's decision to leave the Quartermain mansion has clearly troubled Jason, prompting her pointed question, why does he want her to stay so bad? This interaction reveals a vulnerable side to the typically stoic Jason, suggesting deeper emotional attachments than he usually displays. The episode further explores this softer dimension of Jason's character through his apparent approval of the budding relationship between Sasha and his son Danny Morgan. This connection holds special significance given Danny's recent loss of his mother, creating a potential surrogate maternal figure in his life during a time of grief and adjustment. Jason's encouragement of this relationship demonstrates his recognition of Danny's emotional needs beyond what he alone can provide. The bond forming between Sasha and Danny represents a healing opportunity for both characters, Danny finding maternal comfort and Sasha discovering purpose through mentorship of a child who needs guidance. Truth and consequences. In one of the episode's most dramatic confrontations, Emma Scorpio Drake faces her grandmother, Anna Devane's righteous anger. Everything Emma's told her has been lies. Anna declares, having apparently uncovered the true circumstances behind Emma's California arrest. The intensity of this grandmother-granddaughter showdown suggests that Emma's transgressions extend far beyond typical youthful indiscretions. Anna's demand for immediate and complete honesty represents not just parental authority but professional integrity. As a former spy and law enforcement professional, deception strikes at the core of Anna's values. Her ultimatum to Emma comes from both love and principle, a complex emotional position that makes this confrontation particularly compelling. The mystery surrounding Emma's California troubles has been carefully cultivated over several episodes, with viewers receiving only tantalizing hints about academic misconduct. This confrontation promises to finally reveal the full scope of Emma's actions, potentially changing viewers' perceptions of this character, who has returned to Port Charles as a seemingly responsible young adult. Curtis Ashford's conversation with Portia Robinson reveals the political dimensions threatening Port Charles. Their discussion of preemptive measures regarding Ezra Boyle's potential story about Mayor Laura Collins' connections to Sonny Corinthos highlights the precarious position of public figures in this community, where legitimate business and organized crime often intersect. The mention of the Esplanade on Pier 55 project connects several powerful players, Boyle, Drew Kane, and Jen Sidwell, suggesting a coordinated effort to manipulate Laura's administration through public pressure. Curtis and Portia's concern demonstrates their loyalty to Laura while acknowledging the political reality that even perception of impropriety can end a career in public service. This storyline cleverly mirrors real-world political dynamics where personal relationships and past associations can become weaponized in public discourse. Laura's friendship with Sonny, despite her impeccable ethical record as mayor, becomes a vulnerability that her opponents are eager to exploit for their own financial gain through the waterfront development project. Alexis Davis finds herself in the unusual position of needing legal representation, likely connected to Ava Jerome's blackmail scheme involving the surveillance video of Christina Corinthos Davis. This situation creates a fascinating ethical dilemma as Alexis, herself a respected attorney, must navigate both professional and maternal concerns simultaneously. The complexity of this situation is heightened by Alexis's limited options for representation. Her law partner Diane Miller would face a conflict of interest, while Rick Lansing remains hospitalized after the brake line incident. This potentially opens the door for Marco Rios, their new associate, to step into a more prominent role in the firm's dynamics. The surveillance video showing Christina cutting brake lines in a case of mistaken identity creates multiple layers of legal jeopardy: attempted murder charges for Christina, accessory concerns for Alexis if she conceals evidence, and blackmail charges against Ava. This legal knot exemplifies the show's talent for creating situations where characters must choose between competing moral obligations. Josslyn Jax's involvement with WSB handler Vaughn takes an intriguing turn as she questions the circumstances of her recruitment. Their discussion about her return to Port Charles University under Professor Dalton's instruction suggests a sophisticated intelligence operation using academic cover. This storyline cleverly positions Josslyn at the intersection of student life and international espionage, creating a coming-of-age narrative with unusually high stakes. Her question about whether the professor was the reason for her recruitment indicates growing awareness of the larger operation she's become part of, potentially foreshadowing her development from reluctant recruit to committed agent. The mention of Josslyn needing to study extensively to maintain her cover highlights the practical challenges of her double life. This detail grounds the espionage elements in relatable concerns about academic performance and time management, making her extraordinary circumstances more accessible to viewers through ordinary struggles. As these various storylines unfold across Port Charles, the episode promises to deliver powerful emotional moments alongside its plot developments. From Carly's maternal fury to Anna's disappointed confrontation with Emma, from Jason's quiet concern for Danny to Josslyn's growing awareness of her role in larger events, characters find themselves at critical decision points. The interconnected nature of these storylines, where legal issues overlap with family dynamics, where political machinations affect personal relationships, where professional obligations conflict with emotional needs, creates a rich tapestry of human experience. Each character must navigate not just external obstacles, but internal conflicts between competing values and loyalties. Monday's episode thus continues the show's tradition of balancing dramatic confrontations with nuanced character development, ensuring that even the most explosive moments serve to deepen our understanding of the complex individuals who call Port Charles home. As viewers, we're invited to consider how we might respond if faced with similar impossible choices between love and principle, between loyalty and truth, between protection and independence. Next, we will learn about the explosive potential of Lois Cerullo's return to Port Charles and how her presence threatens to unearth long-buried secrets that could devastate multiple families. The brewing storm of revelations promises to test loyalties, expose deceptions, and potentially alter the landscape of Port Charles forever. A reckoning, not just a reunion. Lois Cerullo's homecoming to Port Charles transcends the typical warm family reunion narrative that viewers might expect. Her return represents something far more consequential, a potential day of reckoning for several key players in this intricate drama. The Brooklyn firecracker hasn't simply brought her distinctive accent and no-nonsense attitude back to town. She's carrying the weight of unspoken truths that have festered in silence for far too long. Those who know Lois well understand her fundamental nature. She has always maintained an uneasy relationship with secrets and deception. Throughout her previous time in Port Charles, she consistently positioned herself as a truth-teller, someone who valued honesty above social niceties or convenient lies. This core aspect of her character now stands in direct conflict with the knowledge she's been harboring about her daughter's past and Sonny Corinthos' clandestine involvement. The psychological burden of maintaining this silence has likely taken its toll on Lois over the years. Each phone call with Brook Lynn, each news report about the Corinthos family would have served as painful reminders of the truth she's concealed. Her decision to return now, at this particular moment when Sonny's health is deteriorating and family tensions are escalating, suggests that the pressure of this knowledge has reached a breaking point. For viewers who have followed Lois since her earlier days in Port Charles, her potential revelation represents a fascinating character evolution. The younger Lois might have blurted out uncomfortable truths without consideration for consequences. But the mature Lois has learned the complex calculus of secrets, when they protect and when they destroy. Her internal conflict now centers on whether continued silence serves any purpose beyond prolonging inevitable pain. The ticking time bomb of truth. The secret that Lois carries isn't merely gossip or trivial information, it's a revelation with the destructive potential of a precision-guided missile. At its core lies the complicated circumstances surrounding Brook Lynn's baby situation, a narrative thread that viewers have followed through its many twists and turns. What appeared to be resolved may in fact have been merely buried, with Sonny Corinthos' fingerprints on the shovel. The exact nature of Sonny's involvement remains shrouded in ambiguity, but sources suggest it extended far beyond casual advice or emotional support. Speculation points to a coordinated effort to manipulate records, influence officials, or perhaps even arrange for falsified documentation. Such actions would align with Sonny's established pattern of leveraging his considerable influence to protect those within his extended family circle, regardless of legal boundaries. What makes this particular secret especially volatile is its timing. Sonny's current mental health struggles have placed him in an unusually vulnerable position both personally and professionally. His grip on his empire has shown signs of weakening, and his medication management issues have created openings that rivals and authorities alike have been eager to exploit. The revelation of past illegal actions taken to assist Brook Lynn could provide exactly the leverage that his enemies have been seeking. The potential fallout extends beyond legal jeopardy. Sonny's relationship with his current family members, particularly Carly, could face severe strain if it emerges that he took significant risks to protect Brook Lynn without their knowledge. The question of why he would extend himself so dramatically for Brook Lynn specifically might raise uncomfortable questions about his motivations and loyalties. Sonny's shadow over Brook Lynn's past. The suggestion that Sonny Corinthos played a significant behind-the-scenes role in Brook Lynn's baby situation introduces a fascinating new dimension to a storyline that viewers believe they understood completely. While the official narrative presented Brook Lynn's actions as largely independent, albeit desperate decisions, the truth appears considerably more complex. During what was undoubtedly one of the most vulnerable periods in Brook Lynn's life, Sonny may have stepped in with more than just comforting words or financial support. His extensive network of connections, spanning law enforcement, medical institutions, and government offices, would have provided him with unique capabilities to manage problematic situations. Whether through intimidation, bribery, or calling in long-standing favors, Sonny possesses tools that few others in Port Charles could access. The nature of his assistance potentially crossed several ethical and legal lines. Did he arrange for falsified medical records? Did he ensure that certain questions weren't asked by authorities? Did he use his influence to silence individuals who might have exposed inconvenient truths? Each possibility represents a serious criminal act that could have significant consequences even years later. What remains particularly intriguing is why Sonny would take such extraordinary measures for Brook Lynn specifically. While she falls within his extended circle of protection as a quartermain adjacent to his family, the level of risk he potentially assumed suggests a deeper connection or obligation. This raises questions about whether there might be aspects of Sonny and Brook Lynn's relationship that remain unexplored, or perhaps debts between Sonny and the Cirillo family that have never been fully explained to viewers. Brook Lynn's protective fortress of lies. Brook Lynn Quartermain has constructed an elaborate fortress of half-truths and strategic omissions around her past, particularly regarding her child. This protective barrier has served its purpose, shielding both her reputation and her family from unwanted scrutiny and potential legal complications. However, like all such constructions, it remains vulnerable to those who know where the structural weaknesses lie. Her fierce determination to keep certain aspects of her past buried reveals much about Brook Lynn's character development. Once impulsive and transparent to a fault, she has evolved into someone capable of maintaining complex deceptions when she believes they serve a greater good. This transformation reflects both maturity and a pragmatic acceptance of Port Charles' moral gray areas, a perspective that aligns her more closely with figures like Sonny than she might care to admit. The complicated web of lies that Brook Lynn has spun extends beyond simple self-protection. Her deceptions have been crafted to shield others implicated in her situation, creating a network of shared culpability that has thus far ensured everyone's silence. This delicate balance of mutual protection has remained stable primarily because all participants recognize the catastrophic consequences of truth. What Brook Lynn hasn't fully accounted for is her mother's evolving perspective on these long-held secrets. While distance and time may have made it easier for Lois to maintain silence from afar, her physical presence in Port Charles changes the emotional calculus dramatically. Face to face with the daily reality of her daughter's life, built on precarious foundations, Lois may find herself increasingly uncomfortable with continued deception. The potential revelation of Sonny's involvement would force Brook Lynn to confront not only the fragility of her carefully constructed narrative, but also questions about her own agency in past events. How much did she know about Sonny's actions on her behalf? Did she actively seek his assistance, or was his intervention something arranged without her full knowledge? These questions strike at the heart of her self-image as someone who handles her own problems. Lois Cerullo, the Brooklyn truth teller. Lois Cerullo has always embodied a particular brand of Brooklyn authenticity that stands in stark contrast to the calculated manipulations common in Port Charles. Her return brings this fundamental character trait back into an environment where truth often takes a back seat to expediency, creating inevitable tension between her natural inclinations and the secrets she's been keeping. Her signature sass and distinctive accent may serve as comfortable, familiar elements for longtime viewers, but they also function as disarming mechanisms that allow her to cut through pretense. Lois possesses a unique ability to name uncomfortable truths that others dance around, making her continued silence on matters related to Brook Lynn and Sonny all the more significant and ultimately unsustainable. The maternal protective instinct has clearly played a major role in Lois's willingness to maintain certain secrets. Like many parents, she has made compromises with her own values when she believed those compromises served her child's best interests. However, maternal protection takes different forms at different stages of a child's life, and Lois may now believe that truth, however painful, better serves Brook Lynn than continued deception. Her reintegration into the Corinthos orbit places her in regular contact with the very individuals implicated in the secrets she holds. Each interaction with Sonny carries the weight of unspoken knowledge, creating a psychological pressure that builds with every exchange. For someone as naturally expressive as Lois, this constant self-censorship represents a form of emotional torture that cannot be sustained indefinitely. What makes Lois particularly dangerous as a secret keeper is her fundamental belief in the cleansing power of truth. Unlike many Port Charles residents who view secrets as necessary tools for survival, Lois has historically seen deception as a temporary measure at best, a necessary evil that should be discarded at the earliest opportunity. Her return to Port Charles may represent, in her mind, precisely that opportunity. The powder keg of buried history. The metaphorical powder keg that Lois sits upon contains more than just isolated facts. It holds interconnected truths that, once exposed, could trigger a cascade of revelations affecting multiple families across Port Charles. The explosive potential of these secrets derives not just from their content, but from their connections to other carefully maintained deceptions. Sonny's deteriorating health situation creates a particularly volatile context for potential revelations. His medication management issues have already resulted in erratic behavior and questionable decision-making, leaving him vulnerable on multiple fronts. The exposure of past misdeeds related to Brook Lynn's situation could accelerate his downward spiral, providing both authorities and rivals with leverage against him at his most vulnerable moment. The timing of Lois's return coincides with several other unstable elements in the Port Charles landscape. Family alliances are shifting, power structures are being renegotiated, and several key players find themselves at personal crossroads. This convergence of vulnerabilities magnifies the potential impact of any major revelation, creating a perfect storm of circumstances where a single truth could trigger multiple catastrophes. What remains particularly unpredictable is Lois's motivation for potentially breaking her silence now. Is she driven by genuine concern that continued deception harms more than it helps? Has she received information suggesting that the truth will emerge regardless of her actions, prompting her to control the narrative? Or has she simply reached a personal ethical threshold where she can no longer participate in maintaining a fiction that contradicts her fundamental values? The powder keg metaphor extends beyond the immediate revelation to encompass the chain reaction that would likely follow. Initial truths would necessitate further explanations, each revelation exposing new layers of deception that have accumulated over years of careful management. The resulting explosion would not be contained to a single moment, but would continue to reverberate through relationships and alliances for months to come. Baby bombshell revisited. The central element of this potential revelation, the baby bombshell connected to Brook Lynn's past, represents one of the most emotionally charged storylines in recent memory. Revisiting this narrative thread threatens to reopen wounds that many believed had healed, forcing characters and viewers alike to reconsider events they thought they understood completely. The original storyline engaged viewers through its exploration of maternal sacrifice, family loyalty, and the lengths to which a parent might go to protect a child. If Sonny's involvement becomes known, these themes gain additional complexity, introducing questions about the ethics of accepting help that crosses legal boundaries and the moral responsibility of those who facilitate deception, even with good intentions. Brook Lynn's journey through motherhood has been defined by unconventional choices and difficult compromises. The revelation that some of these choices may have been influenced or enabled by Sonny's intervention would force a reevaluation of her growth as a character. Has her development been authentic, or has it been artificially supported by Sonny's invisible hand smoothing obstacles from her path? For newer viewers who may not be familiar with the complete history of Brook Lynn's baby situation, the potential revelations would provide context that enriches their understanding of current character dynamics. The complex interrelationships between the Quartermaines, Cerullos, and Corinthos families would gain additional layers of meaning, illuminating tensions and alliances that might otherwise seem arbitrary or unexplained. Perhaps most significantly, revisiting this storyline through the lens of Sonny's secret involvement creates an opportunity to explore how the passage of time affects our understanding of past actions. Decisions that seemed necessary in moments of crisis may appear questionable with the benefit of hindsight, forcing characters to reconcile their present selves with choices made by versions of themselves they may no longer recognize or endorse. As Lois contemplates breaking her silence, viewers are left to wonder whether some secrets are better left buried, or if truth, however painful, ultimately serves healing better than even the most well-intentioned deception. The answer to this question will shape not just individual character arcs, but the broader moral landscape of Port Charles itself.